Some of the mysteries surrounding the ancient Egyptians are so entrenched in the scientific community that there are many who have proposed, perhaps in a risky way, the extraterrestrial response. The ancient texts themselves tell us about visits and trips to the stars. The Book of the Celestial Cow tells us how the original gods came from heaven, and the pyramid texts describe in detail how Pharaoh could travel to the stars in the so-called Ascension texts. But beyond the subjective interpretation that we want to give these religious documents, the truth is that the traces of an extraterrestrial reality in pharaonic Egypt are more abundant than we might believe. The gods that came from the stars, the texts of the pyramids, are the oldest religious texts of humanity. They appear for the first time in the Pyramid of Unas in Saqqara, 2350 before Christ. Its content is completely stellar. Throughout almost 230 formulas, the necessary steps are taken so that the deceased pharaoh ascends to heaven and unites with his ancestors, the gods of the stars. Why did the ancient Egyptians believe that their gods came from the stars? What made them think that Pharaoh came from the same place and that he had to rejoin his star nature? In the texts of the pyramids we can find the answers. There, we are told about mysterious rays that crossed the skies of Egypt. These rays, called Bia, they were made of a strange mineral, terribly hard. Although the most peculiar of them were their magical powers. The Bia, literally the metal of heavens, must have been iron-rich meteorites. The Egyptians saw in them a gesture of grace on the part of the celestial gods, the same ones that thousands of years before descended on earth to create civilization. Today we know that many of these meteorites were deified and worshipped in temples. In the second book of natural history from Pliny the Elder, we can read how in the temple of Abydos, the abode of Osiris, a stone that traditionally was identified as falling from heaven was worshipped. Other texts tell us that Abydos worshipped one of the most important relics of Osiris, his head. If we add to this that the Egyptians thought that the bones of the gods were made of iron, meteorite, we could speculate that the head of Osiris was a meteorite that resembled the skull of the god of the dead. The material was sacred for the Egyptians, they used for the making of magic tools used in their rituals. Curiously, this iron was not used for practical purposes, as might be expected from it, due to its extreme hardness. The Egyptians understood that their power lay in the very essence of the material and, above all, in the magical place from which it came, the heaven of the gods.